I'm curious about the skill of hosting specifically. I think you've even said it's like one of the skills of the century is how to host, essentially. And so you mentioned a little bit in an example of how you host and that sort of thing, but that sort of seems to me like the science behind building a great community. It's repeatable, it's trainable, it's something that I know we probably do some of that stuff inadvertently, but without intention, just sort of building community. Could you talk about some of the science behind hosting and maybe some practical things that anybody could do to help build an incredible community in their own groups of people?
Yeah. So let's break this down into parts. So number one, to create a great community, it starts with a set of things that for a lot of people are defined as be cool. Just like be cool. Don't be weird. Don't try to be selling people all the time your stuff. The number of people who now understand that, oh, I'm providing this free webinar and I'm so glad to be giving you this gift. I'm like, you're not giving me a gift. I'm giving you a gift. Let's start. So first and foremost, we can break down the different pieces to number one, we are losing kind of our grips in lots of cases with just what it means to be a cool person, like a great human being who's like, you know what? When we start with relationships and we start by specifically thinking about the people that we know who could really benefit from meeting and building relationships with each other. Let's just put that aside for a second, because there's things that really distinguish. And I think these skills are only going to get more and more important for a variety of reasons, but let's just put those aside for a second. Then there is the role of curation, which is kind of a flavor of what I just described. Who are you bringing together? And, there is a fair amount of both science and art to this. And I'll talk about that in a hot minute. And then the third piece is how do you scale number one and number two into a community, especially a community that you want to provide so much value that people will pay for it. And that because you're creating these relationships, it can essentially run itself. And you can't do those pieces without having underlying technology that is scaling being a great host and generally cool person and sort of the curation piece of this. What and how can you use data and natural language to make those introductions so that you can be a great host and provide a lot of value at scale. And so what is that value? So number one, it's creating communities that can get more valuable to every member with each new person who joins. And why is value created with each new person who joins? Well, when you create a community and you have a purpose to that community, which here's the trick, the easiest way to create a community that is valuable to people and they will pay for it, pick a transition. Focus on bringing people together who are in a transition and your community will work. If you are, I have this great framework and I want it to be available to all humans on planet Earth, you will create something that doesn't work. In fact, when you try to make something for everybody, it's really for no one. And the good news is you can always add new transitions later. But when you start with a transition and it's not about your content that people are going to consume, but rather how do you create a framework to navigate that transition together alongside other people that you create tremendous value. And it's value that is going to be future-proofed because in a world of AI, human-to-human connection is only going to get more valuable and more fun because there's things that people can do that AI can't do, even if we try really hard to make AI our girlfriends and boyfriends and best friends. So that's on the sort of scaling side. So coming back to what's the best way to curate around a transition. Just curate around a transition. Pick a transition and validate that your content, first of all, that your content becomes a framework, and almost think about from content to quests, just because I like using the word quest. How do you help people come together around that transition and go on quests together that ultimately result in them being able to navigate rapid change, which, by the way, talk about the market size of rapid change. We are now living in a new world of rapid change. It is a rapid change bubble that I don't think is going to burst anytime soon. And then build new practices and habits to be able to really find your way through that rapid change and ultimately create results and transformation you can't get on your own with identity, with relationships, with the people that you can call on the phone or text and basically be like, guys, like this is what I'm navigating, and what these communities that people are able to charge for and create so much value you can charge for it. The beautiful thing is that you offer, as part of that community, an identity, a common language, a common set of things to go back to when you're navigating this rapid change. And that is just an amazing, amazing thing. Now, I saved the easiest pieces for last. I'll preface this by saying that most people are bad at people stuff in 2025. There is an entire not only generation, but again, we have had software that is designed, I say this as a software designer, has been designed for, I'm going to grab as much attention as I possibly can and give people the high fructose corn syrup version of connection. And I'm going to call it social media. And it's just, so you think you're getting connection, you think you're getting relationships, you think you're getting friends by just staying on your screen. So the only way out of this mess, again, I say this as a software designer, is with new software. So all of us who are sitting there and are just more comfortable opening our phone instead of talking to somebody, like, it's not your fault, but at the same point in time, it's going to take all of us getting better at people stuff and actually choosing to be good at people stuff. And software, certainly with what we're building at Mighty, and hopefully inspire other people to build flavors of this software that supports people building those relationships with other people in community. But here's the thing that's so important and valuable is any of us right now can choose to get better at people stuff. And here are the tricks that I've used to try to get better at people stuff when I am really happy watching a tremendous amount of television at my house. Number one is I show up to conversations with people thinking about, how is this person absolutely unique and awesome? And so I'm interested in the other person because I'm actually playing a game with myself, which is like, what makes this person rad? And how do I start to pull out questions? And I'm giving you guys my tricks before I've done it with you guys, but still, like, the idea of being able to show up at a conversation and be fully present and basically ask yourself the question, how do I figure out what is absolutely awesome about the person that I'm talking to? And then when you're at a party, as you are able to meet that person, instead of being about small talk, being about, oh my God, like, what makes this person awesome? And I'm going to ask all these questions. And by the way, we've got all of these questions that you can ask people, because it turns out when you've got billions of points of data about which questions people love answering and which questions they don't love answering or like don't create conversation, your repertoire for questions that you can ask people is so much higher. But one is, Chris, what are you excited about right now? What are you excited about right now? Like, it's the best question because somebody has to organize their brain to be like, yeah, what am I excited about right now? Is that professionally or personally? I'm like, I don't care. Like, just tell me something really fun that you're excited about. The number of people who are not asked that question every day is really high, and it really allows any of us to stand out. Then, as you're understanding who that person is and somebody else walks up into the group, or like you're organizing, like, this is just like how to show up at a party or a networking event or a workshop or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, Dan, I am so glad you just came up. It's so great to see you again. Have you met Chris yet? Yeah. So Chris does X, Y, and Z. Because again, what did I show up to do? I showed up to figure out how to pump Chris up. Not because I want anything, but just because it's a really fun game. And then as Chris is getting pumped up and feeling good, and then Dan comes up and there's a way to connect them. One of the other things that I do that is just really fun is the more you can exaggerate someone's awesomeness, they then form a bond really fast against you. Like, Gina, come on. Like, but then they'll also start talking about themselves for real. It's really fun to do. This is like a total party trick. So it's like, no, Dan, I'm not like, I don't run launch. But I do this stuff. And now Dan's like, yeah, I don't, run launch, but I do this stuff. The point is now you guys are able to talk about things that I then can go do other stuff. Like, my goal in life is to basically host the world's best party and then quietly go upstairs and not have anybody like notice that I'm gone. Like, that's my goal in the world. Those kinds of things are examples of how do you not just show up and curate an amazing group of people, but how do you actually start to spark relationships between people? And especially at a moment where we are all so bad at people stuff, not just because we're more comfortable on our phones, like, scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, but also just because so much of modern marketing has become this bastardized version of like meeting people and how it shows up. So I'm curious to what your guys' reactions are to this, because again, we got to go launch stuff so that we can create those communities where people can have these really transformational experiences. And I always think about it, and the way I love to talk to people about how do you market and talk about the things you're building is like, I got to talk to enough people. So the person who knows somebody who is literally sitting there right now being like, oh my God, I'm going through this transition. I'm now unemployed. I don't know where my next job is going to come from. I am nervous and I am scared. And somebody that they know walks in and they're like, you know what? My friend Gina is starting this new community that's for people who are thinking about their next chapter and what that looks like and what that means. Did I just like spam my friend? No. What I just did was I presented a highly valuable opportunity to somebody who knows somebody where they are able to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I am so glad this thing exists.
Hey, Launch family, one more thing before you go. If you haven't yet, go to getyoulaunch.com. We have some absolutely free, awesome launch training for you. I think you'll really dig it. And it also is free. So why not go check it out? Go to getyoulaunch.com and we will send you out some really cool stuff. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.